this.
Yeah, I almost said his name too.
I think we all know his name. Do we know his name?
Yeah.
Do we know his name? Hi guys, welcome to the Devil Drives Lada podcast. I forgot. Sorry, we're live now. So today we're talking about AIRSOFT, which, hold on, don't click away yet, and how it can be used as a training aid for your combat, tactical, and shooting skills. We're going to be going to it's Third Coast Airsoft, right? Or Triple? Yeah. Third Coast Airsoft event at Government Training Institute in Barnwell, Georgia this weekend. As in 7 days, 6 days, 5, whatever. The upcoming weekend. And we're going to be we're not doing the first night. We couldn't get off of work in time to really get there in time. But we're going to be on the field 24 hours nonstop play and kind of put some of our things that we teach each other, teach you guys to the test and have been taught. And we're going to put our skills to the test. And really, we just want to kind of take this episode to, I wouldn't say knowledge dump, but just have a discussion on how airsoft can be beneficial to you and why you should be airsofting if you want to get better for on a budget and, you know, at places normally you can't shoot or do cool tactical things. So I'm your host, Jamie. I spent almost 9 months in Ukraine. About 6 of those were in a combat role. I teach people to shoot. I play airsoft. And just an overall enthusiast for guns, gear, training, you name it. So, yeah. Who's next? We forgot to come up with an order this time.
As always, I'll go next. Hi, my name's Traven. I have a certain love for PSA weapons. Hi.
Can you don't?
Anderson lowers are okay.
No. All right, who wants to go next? For the record, Traven is the resident poor of the group. And remember, poor is a mindset, not a financial...
Not a socioeconomic group.
Thank you.
Big words. I'm just saying, high points work. High points work like once or twice, and then after that, you got a really expensive hammer.
I mean, yeah, that tracks. All right, so who's going next?
I'll go. All right, I'm Blake. I am one of Jamie's best friends. Professionally, I'm a mechanic. Guns and gear are more of just a hobby for me. Airsoft has become a great tool for me to be able to use the gear that I've gotten and kind of work out the kinks in an environment that I wouldn't normally be able to, you know, run around with a gun and shoot at other people with. So, yeah.
Well, look on the bright side. The protests are starting again. Maybe you can get spicy with a guy with a skateboard.
Yeah. Hey man, last time somebody LARPed at one of those things, they ended up going to jail, and Travis Haley had to bail him out.
Big oof. Speaking of Travis Haley, we have to come. We gotta rope back into that later because we have a special episode for you guys next week. It's gonna be great.
Free my man
from GTI.
Free Travis.
And today's actually special episode. Our very own Operator Waiter is here in person.
Hi, friends.
Yeah. I have a balaclava right behind you if you want.
Oh, really?
Yeah, literally right behind you, on top of that red bin.
Oh,
it's not an Arc'teryx, but it's a. Oh my! You're dragging the Mac. The MacBook. How does this camera work?
He's not.
How do cameras work? Hey, we got the talking balaclava here in person.
I'm gonna put this back on.
I thought he retired.
He's out of retirement now. He's recovered himself. This is actually admin results all along.
Yes, hello. I'm a former Arizona tribal police officer. Just kidding. I wouldn't be caught dead working for a police department.
Tribal or not?
No. But yeah, what's up, guys? I'm Ian. I'm from Operator Supply. We do gear mods and custom uniforms and that kind of thing for all your LARPing needs. I'm here with my buddy Jamie in person for my one time a year.
That didn't used to be a norm. We used to play Airsoft every week together, and well, I mean, a lot more than Airsoft. We used to train weekly and go Airsofting, but now he lives a long way away.
Now I have to LARP on my lonesome.
Yep, literally. Oh wait,
hitting up the mill sims with the boys.
Do you have your chalky chip handy? You gotta show the people.
It's downstairs.
Oh, okay.
Sick
chalky chip raid mod.
I'll be wearing it for the episode next week, live from GTI.
Oh yeah. So I guess I mean there's no spoilers. Next week we're going to do our best to have a live episode at GTI. The date, I think we're gonna do our best to do it Sunday, but we don't know the time. It's up in the air right now. But tune in next week because we're all gonna be still in our kit and disgusting. And we're going to do a quick debrief with you guys. And then we're going to do a gun influencer, gun tuber cringe tier list. And I can just say in the S tier for the cringiest, Tim Kennedy. So that's your spoiler. We're going to find as many as we can from Tim Kennedy to Matt Best, Lucas Botkins, Grand Thumb. It's another spoiler. He's not going to be very high on the list, if any. The most wholesome gun tuber.
Travis Haley.
Yeah.
Tim Kennedy cringe.
We might even throw Jared in there for Orion concept. So, yeah. Tune in next week. I don't know the time yet. It will be an exciting episode, I promise. We're excited. I think I'm gonna try and print out one of the tier lists or like the tier chart and laminate it at work this week.
Yeah.
And then so we can literally sit there and have like
stick it up there.
And if we can't do it live, I think what we might do,
we could also do it Friday night while they're doing the night mission.
Yeah, the date and time are still up in the air. We will post on Instagram, give you all a little heads up when we're going live. If the internet's too bad, we'll determine that Friday, and what we'll do is throughout like the whole event, we'll like rip like I think we could pull out I'll keep it in my back panel and like mid firefight, where does Travis Haley land? And then we can we'll be videoing it, and then I'll put them all together and upload it if the internet's too bad to go live. But I think
we can get some audience participation.
Yeah, sir.
Excuse me, dead Eastern man.
Either way, I think I'll record some of those and we can watch them live, and we'll just get some. But yeah, stay tuned next week. It will be exciting. I don't know how we're gonna do it yet, but it will happen. We might end up with like 50 gun influencers and gun tubers.
There's a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
If you do happen to be going to GTI, I'm probably gonna be one of the only people in chocolate chip. So
if not the only person in a chalky chip raid mod shirt.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, come find us. We're all gonna have Ohana Arms patches on. I think we're also maybe all of us also gonna be rocking an Operator Waiter patch. Do you have one of yours with you?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Half of us.
If you're on the green team, we'll find you.
Yeah, don't worry. And that's actually a great segue into our main topic. Watching too much Linus Tech Tips over here. So, yeah. GTI this weekend. We're going for Operation Iron Dagger 2023. Yeah, 2023.
Right?
Is it called Iron Dagger 3?
Iron Dagger 3.
Iron Dagger 3,
I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there have not been 2,000 renditions of this prior to it, but just 2. So, dude, imagine they've been doing an Iron Dagger every year since Jesus died. Iron Dagger 2023. So
they were actually
daggers.
They're
actually using Iron Daggers, yeah. I mean, we got Israel doing Operation Iron Sword right now, so.
And the Israeli chick giving you Iron Dome.
Hey. I promise we won't have nearly as many civilian casualties.
Yeah. So I have my little here, I'll show you guys.
Accountability is very important to the Western Coalition.
We do our best. So if any of y'all know this chick on Instagram, did I show you this?
What is her name?
Natalia Fadiv.
Yeah. So this chick on
Excellent.
Why is it so blown out?
Can't
Hold
see
on.
that.
Oh wait, there we go.
Yeah.
It's still not focused. Focus on her face, not my face. Anyway, if any of y'all know this chick on Instagram, I'm gonna read you. So slide 2 says, when I joined the IDF back in 2016, I didn't enlist to kill people. Innocent people and children were never my enemy. Terror is. The caption: IDF fights against terror, not civilians. Civilian classifies are the What is classifies? Casualties?
Probably meant casualties.
Civilian
Or probably about
classifies
collateral.
are the cost of war. Unfortunately, that is the reality of life. So, my comment, I believe, is still the most liked comment on her entire post. And I just said asterisk. Kills tens of thousands of unarmed civilians in process. So, yeah, it's big sad, dude. In no way are we saying Hamas is right, like, in any way. But, for Israel to have just a complete lack of care or thought about the amount of innocent civilians, women, kids, that they're just massacring, it's insane. I saw.
Hey, bro, it's what I told you like a couple weeks ago. They just blooding and cripping over there. It's old school blood and cripping.
And we act like this is something new. This has literally been going on for like 6,000 years. Since literally Abraham and Sarah, right? In the Bible. Yeah. Yes. Someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Damn.
So yeah, a long time. So it's nothing new, but it's just kind of sad the amount of like literally my comment is filled with replies. Hold on. The most recent comment: "You're correct because of Hamas cowardly using humans as shields. Tens of thousands of civilians end up getting killed." Yeah, because Hamas hides against the women and children. Like it goes on and on. Literally more than half. Unfortunately, this is just the cost of war. But when they killed their grown soldiers, they called them terrorists. Like, blame it on Hamas. They're using as human shields. Like, and then this person just says deserved.
Oh wow.
Damn.
So, well, yes, this has been going on for tens of thousands of years. I kind of thought it's like humanity, we've moved on, and to the point of not just thinking everyone should die, whether they're kids, women, children, innocent, unarmed, whatever. So sorry to go on that tangent, but anywho, going back to
AIRSOFT.
yeah, AIRSOFT. How did we even get to that? We said they were using iron daggers and yeah, the Iron Dome, and then anywho, so yeah, we're airsofting this weekend. This is the third event. The cool thing about these events, I think all of them with Third Coast are this way. It's like whatever the outcome of the last event was, it leads into the next event.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know if that's the case for all of them. I know that was the case for Stonebreaker, and I think that's also the case for this one. This is our first Iron Dagger event. We did Stonebreaker in the past, a couple Stonebreaker ones with Third Coast. And they were a lot of fun. But yeah, we haven't. So technically, none of our actions in the past have attributed to this. But yeah. So it's gonna be me, Blake, Ian, and Sean, who I don't know where he is. He was supposed to be here tonight. But it'll be us four. We'll all be wearing Han Arms patches. At least half of us will be wearing Operator patches also. There. It's the big Master Chief Blackbeard Blackbeard one back there. and it'll be a great time. So our team, please come find us if you see us. Our whole like 2 viewers right now. How many viewers do we have?
1.
Only if you're
One.
on
We
tan.
have 1.
Only if you're on tan. If you're tan, you're cool.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're on green, like Eastern Forces, we'll find you. And then you can say hi. So but yeah, realistically, no one's gonna be watching it. No one watching is gonna be there, but we'll see. We're very self-aware here. So basically what our team's gonna be, we're gonna be a 4-man team, just a basic fire team, and we're going to be conducting recon for a company, for Able Company to be exact. We don't have our exact mission set yet, but we want to go over today some of like the basic things we'll be using, why and how you can apply these to your training, and how using airsoft as a training aid can make you a better shooter, and things like that. These will also be things that I think collectively I've picked up from spending time overseas, and like you guys have used training, and we all kind of have some knowledge to share on this. So yeah, where do we want to start? Can you give me the
Let's start with the simplest thing. The what is it? The 5 basic rules of gun safety.
Why are we starting with that?
Why would we go over the rules of gun safety?
Everyone watching this, I hope, knows this.
I'm just saying. We're talking about training. I'm pretty sure the basics are the first thing that you should always cover, and the 5 rules of gun safety is always, should just be drilled into people's heads.
It is a good opportunity to work on your weapons handling in the context of being around other people.
Mm-hmm.
You should be treating it like a real gun.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Yeah, realistically, you should be treating it as a real gun. I guess we can go into, like, basic airsoft kind of stuff. But, like, one of the biggest things we take away from airsoft, we play every weekend. At least Blake and I do together. You play a decent amount, don't you? No? You had
I pretty
Milsim
much
in Hawaii.
only play when there's an organized Milsim event. I don't have, like, a local field to go play at.
Oh, I thought you did. Oh.
No.
Okay. So Ian doesn't play every weekend. But he does go to Milsims, so.
This would be my 4th this year, actually.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because you went to Milsim West. Yeah, killed Blue Jean Operator. We talked about that the last episode. But one thing, probably the biggest takeaway you want to get from airsoft is play in your kit. So every week I'm out there in my FCPC with water and my back panel. Like, I have my full kit. I have my plates in. I used to run with my actual mags on the front. Well, half of them, because the weight really helps balance it out. Like, what you don't want is to have, like, your hydration pouch and your bolt cutters, your demo stuff, whatever on your back panel, and then have your front panel completely empty, because then your plate carrier is going to ride up. Same thing the other way around. You want to try and have that balance. But like, we play in our plates, full kit. We have our gun belts on. Sometimes, depending on it, we'll have our helmets on. I usually, during the summer, just run a ball cap, and during the winter, I'll go ahead and helmet up. It's warmer at that point, and for like this event, I think all of us will probably have our helmets on with comms. So yeah, and it gives you a really good, like, also, yeah, this is one of my my battle scars from this week. I was talking to no lessons were learned on that one. I was saying they're talking to an admin, and somebody domed me in the face. There were no lessons learned from this airsoft kill. But you play in your kit. Try to emulate, like, make your airsoft rifle as realistic as possible. Like, I think all of us have full weight guns, like upper and lowers are completely metal. And my airsoft rifle sitting right back there is almost the same. Here, I'll grab it real quick. Is almost the same weight as my actual rifle. I don't have unlimited disposable income, so I do end up swapping certain things for my airsoft rifle and real rifle when I go play. Like, you'll notice my sling's not on here right now. I don't have a flashlight on here right now. No pressure pads, obviously.
Flashlight.
Say again.
A flashlight.
Oh yeah, no flashlight on the end of this one right now. But I am running an optic setup that I have run in the past on my real rifles. Got Unity mounts, fast mounts, and there's actually a new optic to me. I got a good deal on it a couple weeks ago. I've just been testing it out. It's a Holosun 515 multi-reticle, has the honeycomb glare killer on the front and flip caps. That's not bad. Got a good deal on it and just been kind of testing it out. I like the Donut of Death, and yeah. Have a fake EOTech G33 magnifier on this. Just I can't spend $600 on an EOTech magnifier for my airsoft rifle, because this does permanently stay on here.
Jamie, I'm gonna tell you right now, as an owner of an EOTech magnifier, Sig makes comparable.
Yes.
For a fraction of the price.
Yeah, I will say I have used both. The glass on the EOTech was a bit clear, but you're also talking about a $400 price gap between those.
Yeah.
At that point, you're really getting to diminishing returns. Now, with that said, if you were actually, in a combat role, if, you're doing some real deal stuff, a lot of times it is better to spend the extra money to get something that you can really trust, that won't let you down. But I mean, for something like this, there's no reason for me to spend $1,000 on an aimpoint T2 and another $600 on an EOTech magnifier. Like, already just in mounts and the Holosun, I'm already in optics more than I am on this whole rifle, and that's without my Surefire light and everything else. So, but all that to say, set your rifles up as close as possible as something that you have or something you'll train with. Because what you'll find is you're deficient in certain aspects. You'll find your sling's too short, sling's too long. You might not like the position on your foregrip after going to the range, on the flat range. Sitting there for 10 rounds, you go check your target. You might realize that doing that, you think your foregrip's exactly where you want, but then when you're holding your rifle for 2 hours, 3 hours at a time, or like we're going to a 24-hour event, your arm's gonna get tired. I know for certain things we teach, like a full seat grip, not with your elbow locked, but a little bit compressed. That's not always the best thing. A lot of times you'll be, I run mine here, I'm a bit compressed. This is kind of what's comfortable for me for an extended period of time. If I'm like, doing some comp shooting or something, I might extend that a little bit, but that's not for long periods of time. But even this, you'll find, like, I'll be sitting there holding an angle or in a trench where I'm trying to not move. Slowly over time, my arm's going to come up and compress some. And you're going to find, things like that, to strength deficiencies. Like, get out and train. Go work out. You'll find your, just like on my real kit, I have all my mags facing the same way. You'll find better ways to reload, more efficient ways to reload. We have... it was a few weeks ago, Blake, I think, we were talking to a kid. I think he had a scar. I don't remember. And he had all of his mags facing the wrong way.
Yeah.
And we were like, homie, how do you reload? Show us a reload. And we were like, you should probably turn all those, right? And he was like, well, I don't remember his answer, but they were all facing the wrong way.
Because we watched him. He went to reload. He pulled it out of his carrier, flipped it around, and like awkwardly turned his wrist.
Yeah, he did like the wrist flip. I remember that. Yeah. And like, that's something that if you get out and train, you'll know that that's just incorrect. Like, there's certain fundamentals that, like body mechanics, your body works best certain ways. And in some things, you can say, oh, this works best for me, and as long as you're not breaking any fundamental rules, that's okay. But it's when you're, trying to make your body do things that it wasn't meant to do, flipping your wrist a certain way to reload your mag, when you could easily just turn it the other way, and it's a much easier, smoother reload. Things like that. You learn it about your kit. You might learn, Blake learned this the hard way. This is 6+ months ago when he first got his comms set up on his plate carrier. He lost his radio. And it was like, well, that wasn't secure enough. Yeah, I still lost a tourniquet on that airsoft field. Yeah. I've had how I carry grenades. So I have on my carrier captured Russian RGO pouch, frag pouch, RGD frag pouch here, and our airsoft flashbangs or smokes or frags, whatever we use, none of them fit in it because airsoft, all the airsoft grenades, if you ever held a real grenade, it's really condensed, like realistically, and all the airsoft ones are like 4 times the size. Like if you compare a real pineapple like F1 to like the airsoft F1, it's literally like twice the size
and a quarter of the weight.
Yeah, and a quarter of the weight. So
airsoft grenades are hot garbage, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks Tagin for, being a Russian-based company and not, making these here and
thanks Obama.
Yeah. And is it IWA? IWA for being status cucks. All right, we got that.
Why?
Because they complied to the ATF rules. And they make you do the like classes,
Oh yeah, they make you.
Yeah, you gotta like be a dealer now. They don't just sell to the public.
Yeah.
F you.
That being said, I will sell to you. I'm an IWA dealer.
I keep pointing back here. Yeah, buy from him. We still haven't bought any at $35 a pop.
Yeah,
45.
Prohibitive.
I think they start at like 35. And the thing with selling to dealers too,
even the dealer price is over $20 a unit, which is steep.
And then like the way, economy works is if they sell them to him, because now there's an additional middleman. Now he has to upcharge them because he took the class and did all this stuff. So they artificially inflated their prices.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but then you're paying for hazmat shipping again between IWA and me, and again between me and you.
Yep. So yeah, rip tag in, and then thanks IWA for being the way that you are. So
Shout
all that to say,
training group for trying to fix it.
Yeah. I've lost grenades. I've lost airsoft grenades. So it's just like different things I'll find. You will find just using your kit and training with it. You'll find out what isn't secure, what is secure. When you go weak side on your rifle, do you have a buckle in the way? Is your push to talk in the way? Just all these different things all add up into making you a more efficient shooter. And pretty much every time we go out, we have like this little mini debrief at the end of the day or after one of us get killed, and we're like, so what lessons did you learn? It's like, well, shouldn't have done this, or camoed better, or I moved, I was looking around too fast. Just all these different things you'll find that you can do better at. And there's nothing wrong with, it's an airsoft game. You can die. Like that's not the whole point to die. Like we try our best not to die. I think on average we probably only die once or twice a day each. Which I think considering, we don't have this like running KDR chart all the time, but we're usually upwards of 24, kills each while dying twice. And when we die each time, we're quite upset. Like I'll be like, dang, I shouldn't have peeked to that corner. I died yesterday because I peeked when I knew, I peeked from the same angle again. Don't do that. Like if you think someone might see you, and so you take cover and then you wait 45 seconds and then peek from the same angle, odds are he's still looking at you. Like that's just a basic lesson that I learned. So it's just nice to use that. Y'all have anything else to add to that? Like lessons learned, what we takeaways?
I've definitely become much more
I would
patient.
just say that it's important to manage your expectations as to what you're going to get out of it, because if you go out and just crush it on the airsoft field, that doesn't mean that you're a tier 1 high-speed operator. Like there are so many bad habits to be gotten from airsoft, and I think it's really important to contextualize everything that you're doing and really think about it in terms of, would this work under the rules of real weapons and real tactics and the reality of the greater situation in the world at the time, as opposed to just thinking, yes, this is a perfect 1-to-1 of what an actual combat situation would be like.
Yeah, it's not. Well, and probably one of the best examples I can think of is accuracy and range.
Oh,
Like,
God.
I remember, I think this was our very first Stonebreaker outing. We were dead tired, dude. It was end of the day, or towards the end of the day. We'd been hoofing it around for, I guess at that point, hundreds of meters, like probably thousands of meters. Like we ran all over, and we were pushing a building, and I mean, this happened from both sides. And we realized, hey, we can see them and they can see us, but we're all out of range of each other. So it was like this giant standoff of they were at the top of the hill, we were at the bottom, or vice versa, depending on what time of day it was. And it's like, oh, hey guys, y'all can't shoot me. Don't mind me. I'm just gonna walk around down here.
Yeah.
You know, like out on the field, like even this week or pretty much any other week, I can see somebody like moving through the woods, or maybe I've been seen moving through the woods, but I'm so far out of that range or making an accurate airsoft shot. You wait for somebody to get closer, and then, you know, you might end up getting the kill or the drop on them in the end, but realistically, you were dead 20 minutes prior. So things to think about, and like Blake was saying, patience.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, wait till you have. Blake and I were it was a few weeks ago. We were literally storming a trench. It was just two of us, and we were taking a whole. I say a whole trench. I mean, it's like a 10-meter long trench.
Yeah. And
we're like sneaking up to it, and they didn't know we were there. We had an objective near it that they had already captured. I think they'd already captured it, and we had to take the objective.
Yeah, their spawn was closer than ours.
Yeah, and they got to the objective sooner. They capped it. It was like a domination game or something. They captured that area, and then they were holding the trench. Well, we used some creeks and stuff and slowly kind of crept up, and we sat there for we were laying there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just watching. And something that but essentially what we were waiting for was for them to make the wrong move. We were waiting for them to mess up. We discovered that there were only 3 in the trench. We were relatively certain enough to say, hey, we can. Oh, what's up, Zach?
I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh man, it's a hooded balaclava behind you. You're about to get snatched.
We're talking about how airsoft can apply to real life and how you can use it to improve your training and to improve yourself.
This is actually something I can actually weigh in on. This is crazy.
Perfect. Let me finish my story, and then I'm gonna need you to. So what we determined was we were certain there were only 3 people in there. We were able to watch closely, but what we were finding was that when one person moved, the other 2 were in thick cover. And so if we were already outnumbered, and statistically, what's the statistic on assaulting a defensive position?
40%.
It's a 40, yeah, so 40%. So we were down 33% plus 40%. So we had like 73% chance of dying, both of us. Something in the ballpark of that. But what we found was, and when one person would move kind of they rotate around to the other side of the trench, the other 2 were in thick cover watching. They had decent like 180 degrees sectors watching the frontal position, but we couldn't flank from either direction. So we basically had to do a frontal assault. So we waited, and 2 of them stood up at the same exact time, and the other started shifting and kind of didn't stand up, but shifted a little bit higher out of the trench. And immediately both of us shot, and within 4 seconds, all 3 of them were dead. What would have happened was if we would have shot previously, then they would have immediately known we were there. There's a threat because remember, they didn't know there was a threat in front of them. They assumed that that's where the threat would be coming from, but they didn't know there was a threat in front of them. So if we would have picked off 1 and been able to get 1, maybe 2, the other 1 or 2 would have just hit the ground and taken thicker cover and continually laid down suppressing fire, and we would have probably never been able to successfully storm the trench. But because we had the patience to wait for the right time, we were able to confirm the number of enemies there, and we were patient enough to strike at the right time to eliminate all of them before they had a chance to react to fire. So, patience, a lesson learned. Things like that, dude. Literally every weekend we come away with something that is learned. Whether it's lost kit, a tactic, whatever. And honestly, the patience one is probably the most realistic in that scenario, because literally there's nothing that could have really gone differently if we would have had real rifle, like if that was an actual engagement. We snuck up correctly. We were probably 40 meters off. Really the only thing that would have been different was the distance of the engagement. But the fact that we got 30 meters or less without them ever seeing us, that means we were doing our jobs well.
Exactly.
And the fact that we waited, nothing would have really been different if that was a real engagement. And it's situations like that you can really take to heart.
Well, I think that's the biggest positive takeaway that there is, or the biggest positive learning opportunity that there is to be had from Airsoft is, in my opinion, the human behavior aspect of it in the context of a force-on-force situation. Because there's not, in the civilian world, many other opportunities to get that.
Yeah. And, I mean, you can say, yes, people play more ballsy during Airsoft.
Well, obviously.
They're not...
When your actual life is not at risk.
Yes.
You're going to play and act a little bit differently. But there is still the pain aspect. Negative stimulus is still negative stimulus.
Yeah. You don't want to have the pain of getting shot and then having to walk 500 plus meters back to your spawn. You're in your brain, that equals, like you said, negative stimulus. You don't want to do it. And honestly, in many situations, I would compare it somewhat to a real, and obviously skills and stuff will vary, but when adrenaline's going in a real firefight and you have to take an objective no matter what, it's honestly a kind of a similar aspect in the sense of, yes, it's bad, but you kind of just have to do it. So it's a mental game of working through it, whether or not it's getting hit and having to walk back to spawn or potentially getting killed. So it's not quite the same, and people don't react the same. We had a guy dressed up as a cow this weekend when we played, running around the field.
Hell yeah.
So, you have to look at it from different angles, and also at the same time, when you're playing, like you said earlier, Blake and I, or, Ian and I, whatever, we might go and say, hey man, dude, we got 30 kills each today and died twice. That's pretty sick. Well, yeah, also we're playing against, kids ranging from 8 years old to all the way up to actual, military guys, or,
military age males.
Yeah, military. There's some army guys that play. There's some cops.
Marines.
Yeah, he really sucks. Some cops that play.
I was fucking memeing on that cop,
dude. That's a story from another time. This cop's just an idiot a-hole. If you're watching this, F you.
It's like,
ACAB.
Get on the ground, not so fast, bucko.
He's the one. I guess to make the long story short, he was yelling at Blake one time over something silly, and he was like, "I'm gonna come over there and beat you," and this and that, and
who do you think I am? Your wife?
Got him. Police 40% for more information. And then this dude was getting all mad, and it's like he drives his cop car to the Airsoft events, and then it's like, hey guys, I'm so-and-so police department, I'm here to, this and that. And the dude just an absolute dick. And
to get your cheeks
imagine going to Airsoft shows to feel better about yourself instead of paying for force-on-force training. Man, crazy.
Yeah, the amount of times he's followed us around, he's like, dude, have y'all done training events before? Do y'all have training? What do you guys do? How have... It's like...
You're like, dude, I just LARP in my basement.
Literally, verbatim, one of his quotes was, do y'all have training? I have training. They took us to a vehicle CQB course one time, and I was like,
holy shit.
That is the exact quote, and we're just like, my guy.
Damn,
My-
dude, are
my
you clearing
dude.
corners inside your Tahoe? That's crazy.
And long story short, Blake like yelled at him after the guy walked away. He threatened to beat Blake and all this, and Blake was like, "To serve and protect." And the dude was walking away, and he turns around and just like charges him. And what was funny is like no one was holding Blake back. They were literally holding him back from Blake. Because
You
Blake's
guys
like,
know, like, that one weird kid that was probably in your social studies class that was like borderlining special needs, but was just really awkward and like would
And
say
got
really
bullied.
weird shit, but be overly aggressive. Like, that's that guy now grown up. Like, do you feel old yet?
Like, I even made the point to him. I was like, you know, you're supposed to be out here setting a good example. Like, you're showing up in your squad car, trying to fight someone that you're shooting plastic BBs at. Like, are you kidding right now? Like,
Right? Like,
it's not that
you know,
serious.
the entire mannerism of professionalism.
Right.
That's this. Why are you over here?
You're way the fuck over here.
literally, and what was funny
Pulling him back.
was there was a team of MPs there with us.
Ew.
And they were watching the whole thing, and they were helping like hold him back, and he was like, dude, that guy's crazy. He's like, you guys should literally, he's like, honestly, I'm even tempted to do it. Call his police department and report him. He's like, we're supposed to like, we're taught to like de-escalate things, and this guy like, he's like, I'd hate to see him in like an actual situation.
Yeah, dude.
Like, and he was like, you should really report him. He's like, I might even report him. He's like, that's completely uncalled for and unacceptable.
He definitely gives like cheats as Simon Says vibe.
Get down to the ground. Put your hands behind your head. Get down to the ground.
Put your hands up.
Yeah.
Get down. Put
Unbuckle
your
your
hands behind your
pants.
back.
Wait, what?
Taser, 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 taser.
Taser,
Oh,
taser.
oh, shit.
Oh, no.
Shit.
But all that to say, bit of a tangent there. It's you also have to take into account like the skill level that you're playing against. Like Ian said, just because you get 30 kills and die twice in an airsoft game doesn't mean you're a tier 1 god.
Yeah, actually, do y'all keep track of caps? Like, do y'all like? Because like, I'm tired of when people are like, "Yeah, man, my KD ratio was really good," but it's like, were you even on point though? Like, were you there at the Alamo? Because like, I saw
Were
this
you
one
playing
dude.
the fucking objective?
Exactly, like that guy might have died 10 times,
Don't
but he
be-
was fucking there.
Don't be that fucking guy. Play the objective. It's a game.
Chris Dorner had a positive KDR.
Oh,
Well,
Jesus.
that's because he couldn't be cornered.
You can't corner the Dorner.
You know who also had about his positive KD ratio was the cops that lit up the fucking minivan that was completely not the vehicle of interest, nor the people of interest who was inside of it.
Yeah,
Israel moment.
when they attacked the Egypt border guard post.
I was talking about the family trying to evacuate.
Oh, dude, that video
and then-
for y'all that haven't seen the station wagon. That was from everything I read. So that was a designated evac road that Israel
One of
specifically
two.
had designated.
One of two.
One
There
of
was
two.
two options. to
And there's
leave
like
Gaza
this
City.
like Ford Escort, like, you know, not minivan,
station wagon.
like station wagon, like driving down the road, and there's a Merkava sitting like on the corner of a building. The freaking station wagon pulls up, stops, goes to turn around, and as it's turning around, they drill it with the Merkava.
No,
It gets
they had
blown.
already turned around and were actively driving
Yeah.
away.
So it's not even like they were like suicide bombing the Merkava. And allegedly it was a
Fucking
Palestinian
smoked 'em.
like family of 4 or 5 and obliterated.
Well, I mean, yeah, they fucking remember when the Afghanistan thing popped off, the missiles that they allegedly say were launched from wherever and everything like that. In retaliation, they drone striked a dude loading up a minivan. And they were like, "Yeah, we think he was loading up explosives," only to find out that was an aid worker who was loading up water
Oh, I
for
remember
fucking
that.
refugees,
don't
like that were
remember
starting to collect
this.
for the airport. And there was also several kids, I think, that were also bombed as a result. And the Biden administration was like, "Oops," like, "Oh, oops,
All
we just fucking
civilians.
estimated an aid worker." That was like, we're fairly certain it was explosives he was loading up. Like, you don't even know.
I mean, it's the same thing with like the whole ambulance convoy. There was a
Yeah.
humanitarian aid ambulance convoy this week in the Gaza Strip. I think it was like 18 ambulances or something ridiculous. It was classified as a convoy of humanitarian aid ambulances. It got hit with not just like a precision strike, but the whole convoy got obliterated. There were at minimum 18 deaths, 50 wounded. Then Israel claims the attack, and they were like, "It was us. That was our drone strike or our airstrike. Hamas was using one of the ambulances." Dude, the whole
what's so bad
street
is it's
that they
just
were driving
like
down
Waco.
was decimated. Oh,
it's just like Waco, where they're like, we kind of can't prove that we weren't acting within the law, but we also can't disprove our claims that they had machine guns.
We investigated
it's just like that with
ourselves and found that we were not at fault.
Hamas may have been on one of these ambulances, so we decimated the entire convoy. We don't know which ambulance, but one of them.
Chances.
Well, can you identify any of the Hamas guys? Well, actually, the funny story to that is there's really not much evidence to even suggest there was a convoy to begin with.
So how do you know there was one? There was one. We just know.
Because we lit it the fuck up. It was there.
Well, we could, but there's not much of them left.
Is that an actual Unity mount, or did y'all get like the Wish Macari fucking mount?
That's an actual Unity. That's
Damn,
the one I was running.
That's baller, dude. That is some fucking balls to the wall shit. I want a Unity mount.
Dude, it's probably my favorite mount combo.
I like the 233 height. I was gonna go with a Knight's Armament in a Redback 1 kind of one, because it also has you've seen it. It's the high rise mount, so it has like the high rise for the red dot, but it has the rail system for an ordinary magnifier, so you don't need a riser for it separately.
I don't know who makes that.
Yeah, I did. Redback 1 and CAC did a
one.
Yeah, Redback 1 and CAC did a little, joint kind of thing on it. I don't know who actually. I think it was Redback 1 developed it. CAC made it.
Jesus. 1 month.
It's just called the high-rise mount.
RB1 high-rise mount.
Yep.
Sold out.
Yep.
So you can use the standard magnifier mount.
Exactly. This was before Unity really took hold with the market and everything like that. That was like the first high-rise mount.
Specifically I like the Unity mounts, especially for the magnifier. Like, okay, so for the audience, the Unity mount is the.
Hey, yo.
Are these guys here. The mounts here. So specifically, what this does is tell the boomers to play hide and go find themselves when they're like, but hide over boar. Well, this isn't made for long distance shooting. Specifically what this is for is when you're wearing nods. A lot of times, or a gas mask. Well, for two different reasons. Nods, they'll end up hitting the top of your rifle. Like, they'll hit the top rail. So when you go to ADS with a standard sight, you go like this, and they're like clunk, and they end up hitting like right here. When you're wearing a gas mask, you have, your face is normally this size. Now it's this size. So what happens is when you're wearing something or using a normal mount, you can't get your face down enough to actually see through your optic. With this, you're really not getting a cheek wheel. You're getting like your chin's going to sit on it. And even then, you can also hover off of it like this. It's a little uncomfortable. When you have a gas mask on, this is going to be about the space depending on your mask. And like, I have a perfect view of my dot right now. Hide over bore, yes, it is an issue. It's negligible until you get out to a distance. And anything that you're more than likely going to be using something this tall on, that distance is.
You say that, but it actually also matters at extremely close range.
Okay, that's fair, but I mean, we're talking about less than 5 meters where you would be point shooting anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you should be point shooting at a distance that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. What if you need to make a headshot?
You just walk it up.
Okay.
You start at the nuts, recoil carries, and then they can't say that you intentionally. If you aim for the head, they might try to get you in court for saying that you premeditatedly wanted to murder him.
And in theory, even if you're going for a headshot at anything under 10 meters, if you aim for the head, it's still gonna be neck or up. So
or you could just miss.
Or yeah, I mean, that's fair too. I don't prefer aiming for the face most of the time anyway.
Well, I mean,
you're because technically your A zone's like, I mean, there you have the head A zone, but I mean, really anything like upper body, like not upper body, upper body would be fine too. I mean, especially if you're double or triple tapping, like when it's essentially
which
gonna
you
walk it
should
up
be.
some.
But in the situation where someone's peeking around a corner or something like that,
That's
you
fair.
you
Aim
need
for
to,
the all you can
need to
see
be
is their
able to hit them
face.
in the face. But
Yeah,
I mean,
but
the
all that
average
is
human
just-
head is approximately an 8-inch circle, like this, and it's also approximately an 8-inch circle this way. So, if you can hit that reliably point shooting, then you're fine anyway.
Yeah. And realistically, that's one thing we'll kind of come back to a little bit with airsoft is you like realistically you this
these are
feels like a
accurate.
real gun. It point shoots the same.
Yeah.
Like if I'm doing anything CQB like within 10 meters, I'm not sitting here like this. Like I'm either going to be sitting above on occasion I'll actually dot or like fully mount, but realistically I'm looking directly over my dot like up here.
Also,
but
these things are fucking accurate to like minute of barn, maybe.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say it's all
barn.
it's all fucking training anyways. Like at the
Yeah.
end of the day, like as long as you have your zero and you know your zero, you'll memorize your holds if you use it enough. And that's
Yes.
where the training kind of comes in. And you can't
Train,
expect
train,
anyone, even if you had absolute co-witness, someone isn't going to be able to tell exactly what distance his minute of attack is going to have his arc starting to affect him.
Yes.
He starts shooting at 50, he's not going to know exactly where unless he's shot it enough.
exactly.
Yes. And that just comes with practice, which you get out and train. Going back to the Unity mounts real quick, we'll finish this up. The main thing with the Unity mounts is that I prefer it so much is the magnifier. So when your magnifier's flipped up, it's here, which is just like a standard magnifier mount. However, unlike the standard EOTech Aimpoint SIG magnifier mounts, this doesn't flip to the side here. And it actually flips down. So that looks like when you're looking down the rifle is like that. What that does is you no longer have this massive blob taking up a large portion of your field of view.
Or tilting your rifle to the side.
Or
while you're
tilting
trying
your
to
rifle
shoot.
to the side.
Or snagging on
and-
equipment. That was another complaint that people have had with those.
Yes. Because
why
now
I
you're
will
also
never
making your
fucking
rifle
fuck
twice
that
as thick
before.
when it's not engaged. And especially for like not necessarily backpack guns, but like anything compact that you may have folded in a backpack or anything like that. That means you essentially have to store the rifle with the magnifier engaged. And now when you go to pick up your rifle, if it's a truly like QRF situation, now you're on your dot,
You have to
which
take that
realistically is
extra
not
step.
ideal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the quick like Unity 101. Unity, please sponsor us, thanks. We would love it.
I don't care. LPVO gang.
I have an LPVO too. It's over there. Primary Arms SLX 1-8. You have the same one. Well, yeah, same one. SLX.
Well, I have the 1-6 because they didn't make the 8 in first focal plane.
I got it when it was new. Yeah, first focal plane LPVOs are superior. You can't change my mind.
Isn't first focal plane the one that stays the same consecutive size?
Yes.
I hate
No.
those. Okay, I was gonna say I fucking hate those ones. I didn't know if that was second plane. I can't remember.
No. That's second focal plane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah,
That
first
one,
focal plane's
that one,
best.
your point of impact actually the ones not in the center will actually move around as
Yes.
you're changing magnification.
So like if you're using MilDot or well really anything with BDC, you would want first focal plane because what would happen is your BDC will no longer be accurate with second focal plane because the
'cause
actual
it's similar to
size.
holds.
Yeah.
So in first focal plane, the reticle stays the same size, absolutely. It doesn't change relative to the magnification. So the dots are always in the same position.
Oh yeah, I don't like those. That's why I like the ATACR 1-8 because it actually like kind of
Well-
brings up and expands more.
Yeah,
like you
that's
guys
how
said.
that's how your brain perceives it. Because as you zoom in, the reticle gets larger.
Yeah,
In
because
second
up close
focal
I
plane
want a dot,
scopes,
but further out I
the-
like a bigger
Yeah, in second focal plane scopes, the reticle is the same size in your field of view, regardless
Yes.
of magnification.
Yeah, I just checked our homework and we're correct.
Yeah,
I can't show you.
and that's the ones that your BDC points will change.
Yeah.
Relative to your point of impact.
First focal plane reticle size changes as you move. Well, it doesn't actually change. It gets bigger for you.
Yeah.
Which actually, so depending on what reticle you use, for example, we both run the ACSS, right?
Mhm.
ACSS
It's
is
actually kind of nice because when you're on first focal plane, it's kind of just like a big dot.
Yeah.
It's like the horseshoe. Wait, it is a horseshoe.
At 1x, it's basically just a little ring of death.
Yeah. It would be like the equivalent of like a 4 MOA dot or something like that.
With the gap in the middle.
Yes. And then when you throw it all the way in, now you have like a proper BDC reticle with the horseshoe and everything else.
Yeah, those are the ones I like. I don't like the
yeah.
Razor HD or whatever it is because of that. It just stays the dot. And like
Yeah.
it messes with my head where I'm like not perceiving as accurately as I do with like the ATACR and stuff like that. I've just always perceived it better. It's more comfortable to shoot in that reason.
Yeah.
I feel like I can perceive things correctly rather than guess. I just feel like obviously it would probably come down to training, and once I used it more, I could probably get used to it. But
I mean, ultimately you would. I mean, and some people swear by second focal plane. Like downrange, I had a guy that had a 1 to 10 second focal plane LPVO, but I think the dude literally sighted in at like 8x. He's like, I like this better. I don't need it all the way. And it's like, well, that's
that
problem.
makes it wrong.
Yeah. You always want to sight in your second focal plane zoomed all the way in. But he was always like, these are so far superior than the first focal plane. I was like, oh, okay.
Probably because the glass clarity. I think that's what Grantham had mentioned is like from those time frames.
Yeah.
When by the time they made the 1 to 10, their glass clarity and stuff like that, and their eye relief had gotten better. So the 1 to 10s were really good on that. But like most people weren't pushing them out to the 10 times, anyways.
No. The Razor, they have a Razor HD 1 to 10 now, and the Voodoo has a 1 to 10. Primary Arms still does not have a 1 to 10, I don't think. I have the 1 to 8. You have the 1 to 6.
Yeah.
1 to 10 would be really good on an actual DMR build, like if you had a 417 platform and stuff.
Yeah.
Something that would actually accurately reach out there and do the job. 6.8 Creedmoor or whatever the fuck. So.
See, for something like that, though, I'd probably rather actually have like a proper like 3 to 12, well, 4 to 15, something like that range.
3550, whatever
it
the fuck
also
they're called.
depends on your environment. I mean,
yeah, I mean, ultimately
environment
does.
job.
It depends on, I guess, if you're using it as a DMR or like an assault, not assault rifle, what was the bar class under?
Battle rifle?
Battle rifle. Thank you.
Yeah.
The bar was not a battle rifle.
The bar was by definition a battle rifle. For the same reason,
it wasn't. It was a squad automatic weapon. It was not a battle rifle.
Squad automatic weapon.
Yes.
Okay, but a squad automatic weapon is literally perceived now as a belt fed. So the M2 would have been, or even the Browning, the smaller Browning, the M1919
that throw a 45 round mag.
That's what makes a squad automatic weapon really that. I mean, to be fair though, I guess the M27 with the extended magazine is what the use.
Cap, the M27 IAR,
that's what he just said.
The HK one.
That's
what is
it? It does not.
What's an HK?
I can't remember
the M27.
That's what I'm saying. Oh. That's a squad automatic rifle by definition.
Yeah,
and
but
it's not belt fed.
Well, yeah, that's.
That's
see, those fall in such a weird category.
But that's
just like
an
the
intermediate
RPK.
caliber, while as 7.62 and 30.6 are not. That's why that would be AR is more likely to be a battle rifle because the 30.6.
Because it's a full size cartridge.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, you can just be the Russians and have a 5.45 RPK and call that your squad automatic rifle. But it has a 45 round mag.
Yeah, and then that's still an intermediate.
Yeah, the rifle is fine.
That's just an AK with extra steps, if we're being honest. I hate RPKs.
Yeah, because I mean, 7.62 by 39 is not going to carry too much over long distance, but they didn't care about that. They were like, we put a little bit of longer barrel on it, but like the 75 round magazine is exactly why we fucking want this.
Well, there were very few RPKs made, from my understanding, that were 7.62 by 39 because they made the RPK originally in 7.62 by 39 and then immediately transitioned to 5.45.
Yep.
But then just decided to basically leave it as is, which
because 5.45 is definitely a better cartridge in my opinion. For the same reason, like a 5.56 is really good in a lot of ways. It's like for the use that it was meant to do, it did just fine in, and that's why we've kept the 5.56, why they still use 5.45, and then 5.45 is easier to suppress than 7.62 by 39.
No.
No?
7.62 is fine.
No.
It's just the
7.62 by
platform
39,
itself.
isn't it? 7.62 by 39 is inherently subsonic, is it not?
No.
Okay, then what am I thinking of?
You're
45 ACP.
Yeah.
I had to layer down,
I was
Hoss.
gonna say.
Oh shit!
Yeah, set ballistically 7.62 by 39 and 300 blackout for all like intent and purpose is identical. Like similar speeds, similar weight. Literally the bullet drop is within inches at all the way up to I think 500 meters. Like where they're within inches off.
Weren't we supposed to be talking about airsoft?
Yeah.
We were just supposed to be talking, so we're just talking.
Airsoft.
We changed, like, if we don't, we've already been over this. We don't have a script. We go fucking, it no longer becomes a list of things to talk about. It becomes like a fucking conspiracy bubble. And
That's
like,
fair. All right. We're going to bring the bubble in back to airsoft.
okay. In Minecraft.
And yeah. Point shooting, use your equipment. Do we have any other points, I guess, how airsoft translates? Like your
Community. It's a great way to find people to train with.
Oh,
I was gonna say,
Go to your local airsoft field or to some of these events and just find people that you vibe with.
there's literally always going to be, like, if there's more than 20 people, there's always going to be at least somebody similar to us out there. Like, whether it's, Vietnam LARPer kid or, some actual mill guys, you're always going to find somebody out there.
to be fair, the people who do retro mill sim builds, though, those end up being some rad fucking dudes. Because if you guys have seen the Japanese airsoft community when they do Vietnam, they are the most American motherfuckers and as genuine as GI gets.
They can either be super rad or super cringe. There's no in between with the LARPing.
There's no shortage of cringe to be found in the Milsim airsoft.
Like I was gonna say the Milsim airsoft community as a whole is probably split rad and cringe. Like you'll have guys spend like $4,000 on their M16 or M416 like repro build and use what were the guys you played with, like the Aussie camo, which is super cool and those guys are rad, but it's like some guys will spend astronomical amounts of like money on their airsoft kit and then never actually train IRL weapons a day in their life.
Yeah. I know at least a couple of those guys that spent over $2,000 on a plate carrier just to not ever actually put plates in it.
Just go around asking who has plates in their carrier, and whoever puts their hand up, those will probably be your friends.
Yeah.
Unless they're cops. They're never your friends. Yeah. Don't talk to them. Alright, so I guess we'll go into kind of what we'll be doing this weekend. Like I said earlier, we're gonna be a 4-man recon team attached to a company, and our sole purpose
fuck, you're gonna make me recce.
our whole purpose will be recce. We're gonna be reconning for the company. We'll be the first ones to take contact. We'll be the first ones to really do, although honestly, for doing our job right, we probably shouldn't be taking too much contact unless it's on our own terms.
I was about to say, unless we're the ones initiating.
Yeah, we should be, essentially our whole job should be to go unseen, unnoticed, and kill everything. And what we don't kill, report back. So, I guess we'll go over a few tools. A few tools in our toolbox of what we're gonna be using.
You can see 4 of them on the
Mouse
screen
to tools.
right now.
Oh, well, I mean, actually, that's only 3 of us that'll be there.
Well,
yeah, Zach, come down and play with us.
That doesn't mean he's not a tool.
Oh yeah, y'all are tools too. All you guys are tools.
Hey.
All right.
For you,
Fucking Traven.
I'll be your hammer daddy.
Pick.
I'll be your hammer daddy.
Okay, Traven.
Oh god.
Calm down over there, please.
I'm not gonna take that lip from a fucking anime girl.
Ooh woo.
You have ooh. So we have probably one of our most important things we'll be having is our Mavic 2 Mini. These things are. Can I share what's on top of that? Yeah, it's fine. Whatever.
Is that illegal? No.
it was my Ukrainian encryption ID for this.
It's no longer encrypted, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not even encrypted anymore. I accidentally updated it. Big sad. Now the feds can track me. Rip. Yep, I literally accidentally updated. I was like, oh no, my encryption's gone. Which I think technically all it was the was shout out to the talking balaclava again. But yeah, flew this thing a lot in Ukraine. I had 2 of them. The first one actually, as you can see, this is number 2. The first one actually got shot down by a Russian because I flew it in his face in a tree line we were trying to assault. He was I have the video of it literally getting shot down. I was recording it to my phone when it got shot down. I still have it too. It's literally a smoldering mess. We recovered it. But these are fantastic. So while they might not have the best cameras, and I do know that DJI has just recently released the Mini 4, have not flown it yet. I have flying experience on the 3 or the 2 and the 3.
3 is fire.
The 3. Oh yeah, you have a 3.
I have a 3. I fucking love it.
Yeah,
it is.
The camera's much better than this. And you can actually run like a 2 or 3 times zoom on the 3 while still actually getting good enough picture quality. This you really need to be on 1x to get a good quality image of what you're looking at. When I flew these in Ukraine, I have honestly a couple hundred flight hours on these. Probably some of the big takeaways are it's small and compact. This was the drone bag I carried with me for one of them, and then I have a bigger drone bag I carry that actually had 3 drones in it. I had a Mini 2, a Mini 3, and then an Autel thermal drone, like a chunky boy. The takeaway from these minis and what makes them so lethal is a few things. They're small. They're relatively fast.
Small.
So they're small. They're a small target to hit and see. They're relatively quick. You can get these stealth propellers for them. I believe Master Air Screw makes them. You can buy them on Amazon. They're literally like $12.
Not for the not for the 3s. I don't think so. I have yet to find them for the 3s. I guess I'm just not searching hard enough.
I have found them. It might not be the same brand, but I did find them.
Okay.
I'll see if I find them again and send you a link. But what these do is it optimized to push air down instead of out. The stock propellers aren't as optimized as these.
Yeah, they're noisy as all hell.
Yeah. So what I would essentially do with these is especially on assaults when we were trying to go into another tree line or cross a field, whatever, is I would fly these, like do an orbit shot from up high, make sure I didn't see any like enemy armor hiding, anything else. I'd fly directly over the tree line and try to look down through the canopy. And then the next thing I would do is actually fly it, get it about eye level, over the, any vegetation in the field. But the eye level is good because it makes it harder to hear because, like, once again, with these propellers, it's not pushing air out, it's pushing it down. You can actually, with the 2s with the stealth propellers, at about 25 meters away, you can fly it in front of somebody and they can't hear it. So if you're flying it fast enough, like just fast enough for you to get like a good visual under the canopy into the tree line, they not only can they not hear it, but it would be really hard for them to shoot and see too because of its size. So you kind of want to find a happy medium in flying it. After I did that, I would literally find a hole in the canopy and fly it into the tree line and just start flying it down the tree line. I could even like kind of sit over a bunker, look down in the bunker or the trench, and I could essentially make sure an entire tree line was more or less, I could give it like a confidency level of like 90% and say, hey, there might be 1, maybe 2 guys, hiding out in a hole I missed, but overall, there's no significant fighting force in that tree line. Same thing with AIRSOFT. That's exactly what we're probably going to be using it for. We're going to be flying it, doing some high sweeps, and then we're going to fly it low, do some low sweeps, and ultimately another thing, especially for AIRSOFT, since everything's condensed, when we're fighting from tree line to tree line or from building to building in Ukraine, it might be, a kilometer between us and the tree line or hundreds of meters. In AIRSOFT, we're probably, when we're going to be bounding or working to the next tree line, it might be 100, 200.
But could you theoretically put a fake little like box on the top that just says C4 in small letters and just fly it into like a bunker? And then is it like kind of the same game rule of like when you tag a bunker, like, all right, you're all dead?
They will be dropping munitions from drones actually during this game.
Yes. Not
Oh,
mine.
it's real life simulator, dude. Just like when Grantham, they're like, "You guys want to play Real War?" Yeah, yeah. And then it's like,
You know, he got a knock on the door for that video.
The FAA came by and said hi.
He almost got in trouble. I can't remember who it was, but he almost got in trouble for that video.
Why
You
though?
probably got a fucking cease and desist from the people that made the drones. Like, hey, stop teaching people how to weaponize our product.
Yeah,
please.
it was essentially that. It was like, stop teaching people how to drop munitions from drones.
As if they wouldn't already be in the telegrams to teach them all that in the war overseas that we're funding. What the fuck?
Yeah, but the normies,
YouTube
the
is
normies
different,
aren't on
though.
Telegram, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and I
fair.
are on
YouTube is
Telegram. I
very
think we're all on
different.
Telegram.
But are you
normies
guys
not
in the
actual
Priviction
uncensored
one that was like his
war
disguises
chats.
and everything?
Yeah. I mean, I think all of us are, but like the normies aren't. But all that to say, the downsides to these are high wind. This thing you should just throw it in the garbage can. Like literally anything over like 15-mile-an-hour wind, just put the thing away.
It just doesn't have the weight for it.
Yeah,
You're
50
wasting your
for
battery.
sure.
You're wasting. I said 15, or is that what you just said?
Oh no, I've got the Mini 3 up into like 30, maybe about 4, maybe about 20 meters off the ground in
your Mini 3
in
is
open land.
much better. With
Yeah.
wind.
Oh, are you still talking about the 2?
Yeah, my 2
the 2
struggles
like
in
that,
wind. And what you'll find is it's having to work so hard. Like it'll hit it. Literally, I was like watching a tree line one time in a gust of wind. It was like, I was like, oh, please don't. I need you to hang in there, little buddy. And then literally, probably one of the scary things is when like you'd fly towards the wind, your battery would be like 4 minutes remaining, and you're like,
no, I need you to make
literally,
it back.
I lost this drone flying it back. We were spotting a BMP, or a tank. I don't remember which at this exact situation. And I flew it like 3 kilometers out, and I had barely had signal. I did some like solid recon. I got it mapped on ATAC, and literally started flying back. And I didn't realize when I was flying it there, I was flying it into the wind, or with the wind behind me, however that saying goes. And then when I turned around and was flying it back, I was flying it into the wind. Yeah. Flying against the wind. And literally my battery meter was just like this. And I actually landed it several hundred meters away from our tree line. Well, not from it was in the same tree line, but it was part of the tree line that we had not cleared yet. But I couldn't get it to where we were, and it like crash landed into the tree line. And we had to go and recover it, me and my battle. And yeah, that was sketchy for it. We did some sketchy stuff to retrieve drones, friendly and enemy. I shot down a drone, and we had one of the guys literally was like, I'm gonna run out in the field and go get it under tank fire. It might have an SD card on it. Like, we did some sketchy stuff that I don't recommend. But yeah, it wasn't always the right calls, but you know, here we are. You live and you learn.
I got one question for that. So when you were running those, were you just using like the stock antennas for them that were between the?
Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't have no range
minis,
extenders.
Yes. We did have my unit had a I believe it was an octocopter, like huge boy. The dude would literally drop 120 mil mortars, or it was at least 80. It may have been the 120 mil mortars on top of tanks. Like the thing was ridiculous, and they'd fly it hundreds and hundreds of meters into the air. Like Orlan or like Orlan orbiting heights, and then just drop a mortar on tanks. Like my unit did have some chunky drones.
That's fucking savage.
I did not use those. We had, I say we, like it was, I had access to it. I did not. But we had massive antennas on those things. Like ridiculous antennas. We'd fly them 10 plus kilometers away easy.
Oof,
it was
must
insane.
Be nice.
So yes, my unit did. I did not. None of us had range extenders for our minis. There were some guys that had slightly bigger drones out there, like the Phantoms or some of the standard Mavics that did, but not ours.
Yeah,
all right,
I was only gonna say.
Good.
I was only gonna say like the only real drawback to them, especially when it comes down to range, is just interference. Like when you're out in
Mhm.
fields and when you're when you're out in nature and fields and whatnot, it's perfect. You're gonna get a good 3.5 kilometers before you start really getting issues out. But like when you're around buildings and shit, dude, it drops significantly. You're better
Mhm.
off just using your own two eyes for the
Urban
most part.
environment's tough.
Yeah.
It's realistically in an urban environment, you want to get yourself high, and then you want to get the drone high, because essentially in urban, as soon as you lose visual contact with it, it's done.
Yeah.
That's just basic RF theory at that point.
Definitely.
There's
with
no
any
magic
kind of
to these. It's literally
wavelength
just
of any
radio.
kind.
In my unit or in my squad, or really we were more of like consider it more like a 2-squad platoon, more or less. In my platoon we had a Mini 3 Pro, or a Mavic 3 Pro or Mavic 4 Pro, whatever the newest Mavic last year was Pro. We had a Mini 2, 3 Mini 2s, a Mini 3, a FPV drone that I also flew. I forgot about that. And then I had the Autel thermal drone, which was ridiculous. It was a 520p thermal camera, and literally I could set
Ooh.
that thing up like moving, like you never want to. It was Mavic size or bigger, and it was loud, like it was a heavy drone. You never wanted to sit there and hover with it, but at 300 meters up, I could literally count how many people were in a tree line. Like, if it wasn't a thick canopy, like in later, like October, November, when most of the leaves had fallen, I could literally just fly it over a tree line and be like, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 6 people in that tree line. Maybe, we'll say 6 more potential in bunkers. And yeah, it's insane, dude. The force multipliers that drones alone bring, is ridiculous.
And that's not even getting into the fun stuff that you can do with them, like using them to bounce signals and shit like that.
You can literally hook up like freaking not net limiter, like Wireshark and stuff, running like Raspberry. Yeah, you could literally like throw a Raspberry Pi with a power bank on the bottom of your drone with like Wireshark, and you could literally count like how many cell phones have their Wi-Fi or Bluetooth turned on out in the field.
And grab MCs and everything else.
It's like, yeah, we got 4 Garmin watches over there. We probably don't want to mess with that squad. Like, just different things like that. Yeah, it's amazing the amount of intelligence gathering you can do with them.
And if you got somebody like me on your team, you can tell exactly who they are and what kind of unit they are based on their RF signature that you grabbed from a single pass over them from 1.5 kilometers away. Like,
for example, if you say you have a visual, with a thermal drone or a standard drone, we could say like 1.5 kilometers, 2 kilometers out, that it's a like 4-man team, and then you do like an RF flyover, and you realize that they're all wearing like Garmin Tactics watches
and fucking wave relay radios
they have mesh network. They have a mesh network going, 4 tablets, and 2 drones up in the air. You're like,
those are probably not the guys that you want to fuck with.
Yeah. It's amazing just what you can grab. You can also do like
that's crazy.
Bluetooth attacks. Like you could literally like, I mean, imagine so essentially, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone watching this will at least have a basic understanding of like a the Flipper Zeros. Like imagine basically everything a Flipper Zero can do plus more attached to the bottom of your drone.
And it can fly.
Yeah. So it's like you want to like de-auth like networks, and potentially cut stuff to cut drone communication or stuff like that. You could do that. There's all sorts of stuff you could do, dude. On top of offensive stuff like dropping things and just the basic recce elements. So drones, huge multiplier. We could probably talk about that all day alone. On how to utilize it and how to
Black Powder Red Earth literally assumed all of this was going to happen like 3 years ago when they released their comics, and like because they had all the drone tech in it, even for the terror cells. And it's like, man, it's like Black Ops. Like there ain't no way this is happening. Cue now.
No,
dude,
that's just the shit that the average fucking guy in the trenches has access to.
Yeah,
that's not even talking about
the stuff that the actual high-speed guys are using these days.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is all commercially available stuff that we've utilized. Not a single drone that I personally, had access to in Ukraine was not commercially available. We had unit stuff, like I said earlier, that was hand built or things like that. But really, 90% of the stuff that is all commercially available, or at minimum gray market availability. All right. Anything else on drones? Y'all have anything else?
Nah, like you said, we could talk about that all day.
Yeah.
It's just to
FPV
move
drones.
on.
Yeah, that's not even including like FPV drones. That's a whole nother tangent.
Yeah.
Second thing we'll go into comms, basic comms. There's a Baofeng DMR radio. I would say probably the best bang for the buck.
Is
one of.
It is your lowest barrier to entry into the DMR market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not the best bang for your buck. Like there are some high Terras that offer 5 times as many features for, $600 that then compete with,
Right.
$3,000 Motorola or $3,000 Motorola's. But yeah, probably lowest barrier to entry, true DMR. It's a VHF, UHF. So you're not on awkward frequencies and spectrums. I mean, we're on awkward spectrums, but that's beside the spectrum gang. But these are not. These are very standard UHF, VHF. You can use it as a DMR or an analog radio. DMR is encryptable.
Because fuck the FCC.
Yeah, F you. Don't come find
Federal
me, please.
Commission of Cucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not self-incriminating. Just,
So what you're saying is
what
you're
are-
not
what
in
is Grantham
possession of
saying?
any illegal materials?
Just
Correct.
because the radio is able to be encrypted doesn't mean that we transmit encrypted.
Yeah.
I would never do something like that without a license.
Never. Of course, yeah. And like Grantham says, information's free. So
Is that door locked?
I always talk. I was like, I don't know, is it?
Yeah.
So these are great. Don't underestimate a radio. Pros to have. Oh, I love how I cover my face and it focuses on your.
Well, see, there's encryption is great, but unless you have someone on your team that knows how to set it up, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So if you don't know someone, then maybe that someone needs to be you.
Yeah. And if that person is you, learn, or is not you, learn anyway, because there shouldn't, like, for example, Ian's our comm guy, our comms guy. We all have at least some very basic understanding of how radios work and how to set them up. He's really, I think right now, the only encryption, person that has the knowledge of how to do it. But we all have a basic understanding and can pick up a Baofeng and use it. You shouldn't be relying on your one team member to have all the knowledge and gatekeep that.
No, because then what happens if that dude fucking dies?
Yeah. Now you don't even know how to radio the guy next to you to tell him. So, yeah. Radio is very important. Keeps comms up in your team. There's many different radio setups we can talk about. Probably the most common and the one that you more or less should have is have it run to your headset. Whether it's your Comtacs, your Sordins, your M32s. Yeah, Earmore, probably the best bang, or probably maybe not the best bang, the best budget. Ear Pro right now for comms.
There are so many.
You said Earmores over Sordins? Sordins are like $60.
But you can't. They're not comms compatible.
Yeah.
Oh,
the M32Hs come with a downlead and mic.
There's a ton of Comtac clones to choose from.
Yeah.
Realistically, if you're only using it for airsoft, there's no reason for you to go out and spend $600 on a pair of real Comtacs that are comms capable.
Yeah.
That's fucking stupid. You should spend that money elsewhere on your training.
Yeah. There's Comtac clones. There's the M32Hs.
If you guys need any help on this stuff, you can hit up Operator Supply on Instagram. I will answer all of your questions. I do radio consultations, so I'll program your shit for you or help you do it.
Do you have experience with wave relays?
I haven't got my hands on an MPU-5 yet. If anybody out there wants to sponsor me the $6,000 to pick one up, then I will
That'd be so dope.
happily break that down for everybody and tell the world how to program one. But
Jordan in Finance and Maneuvers was just showing his off in the chat.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I know. They're like, I think they're training with Orion right now, currently, and they have like wave relays and everything on their kit now. And one of them's doing ATAC like more in depth. I think he did Arty for the military, and the guy was messing with that and kind of learning more about it.
ATAC is probably, we'll get into that a little bit later. That is one of my next things to talk about. ATAC is probably one of the most powerful programs that you can use if set up properly.
yeah.
Oh, it's so cool. Even just for small stuff like doing geo stuff on your own as a civilian, it's fucking awesome.
That's ATAC could realistically be a full-time job, and
literally
it often is at least platoon or battalion level. There's often one guy whose entire fucking job is to handle ATAC.
Yeah. In Ukraine, the fun fact, the mortar commanders, I think we've talked about this in one of our previous episodes. The mortar team commanders, many of them at least, have a tablet with a Ukrainian ATAC at home set up, where basically they have all the sat maps downloaded for all of Ukraine, and they have their tablet out, and it basically is linked with their mortar team tablets, and they're like, okay guys, we need artillery here. They tap it, then the mortar team gets it on their tablet, and they can literally be like, okay, so here's your current location within 6 feet of or whatever, or you can, I think, dial it down even more manually. This is what you need to do. Please select your the mortar round you're using, and then we're gonna tell you how many charges and what angle it needs to be at. And it's like, sweet, and then set it at like, okay, now set your compass on top of it and use your mortar sight and everything, and it literally does all the math for you.
That's a early version of what the US uses now.
Really?
That's fully integrated now.
Sick. Yeah. ATAC's very powerful, and
it's completely integrated to the point that they can drop a pin and they have a firing solution within 10 seconds.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's wild.
Which I think cuts a lot of 9-line process out too, because 9-line process
there's none anymore.
Fucking 10 minutes to make sure like all of everything is in place for when the time may actually come. Like, hey, at least you have the 9-line. So then when I say let's do it, it's there, it's ready. Yeah. Now it's just like, all right, I have permission, send it. 10 seconds go by, fire mission's on the way. Like, bet.
Yeah.
Dude, like, I wish there was more visibility into how these things are being applied in some of these higher tier units, because they're doing some really cool shit that people aren't really allowed to talk about. So
yeah,
we will in like 5 years
out there, but the actual how-to of how to implement these things is not out yet, and there's some exciting stuff that's going to come in the next couple of years, because you've got stuff like automatic SOS going out based on biometric data and shit like that.
Thanks, Garmin, for that one.
Yeah, it's gonna make things. The amount of data that's gonna come out of the modern battle space is insane.
Like, for probably, we'll get back to Raise and say, but really, like, we've seen in movies for 3 decades now of like, you'll have like the I guess the TAC Ops operator or the TAC Ops commander or whatever sitting in their big room with the like 20 guys, and they're running the op with like the 50 screens, and it's like the CIA op, and it's like Bravo Team 1, why is your heart rate 300? Oh, he's hit, his blood pressure's decreasing.
Yeah,
like that's literally where we are today. Like, we've joked about it, and it's been the CIA op way for movies for 30 years now. It's actually real now.
You got airsofters running fully integrated C5 ISR systems
and mesh networks.
Yeah.
We had, remember at one of the airsoft events a few years ago, the homie was running the mesh network that was picking up all the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi IDs. And he's like, guys, we have a team of 5 at least moving on this location. He's like, I picked up it's like, dude, this is some like airsoft nerd, and he has access to this. So let's
shout out.
I was going to say real quick,
Mill Simmers.
I'm about to jump out because my wife's she just got a wave of sickness and everything like that, and so she
I'll go
wants
take
me
care of
to-
that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I probably
Being
need to
pregnant
drop
at kind
pretty
of
soon
sucks. She
here,
just had
too.
a bunch of like vegetable sushi and it didn't work out. So
Tell her we hope she feels better.
yeah,
Tell her we love
she
her.
will hopefully. She's got off
I
tomorrow
won't-
still, so
I won't say her name, but we love you.
God bless,
I'll let
brother.
her know.
God bless.
God bless.
Later, man.
Later, Zach. Thanks for joining us, man.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Let him, my boy.
I don't know why that just. Anyway, so radios, pros and cons, especially, and this will even dive a little bit into encryption. So, pros of radios, you have team communication. Or, actually, hold on. We'll rewind a little bit more. We're talking about a basic radio setup. Basic radio setup, you should have at least like a Baofeng with your ear pro and have it all hooked in. If you're really poor, you can get yourself like a pair of walkers and then run like a little push to talk speaker and then wire it all together.
Defense distributors. There's a
there's a turnkey.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you have a set of walkers or anything else with a 3.5mm plug, they
Plugs right in.
sell a integrated PTT mic setup for you. I'm not sure on the price point.
I think it's like $65.
Yeah, it's
think.
not anything crazy.
Yeah, it's affordable. You can also like that would probably be the cheapest option. Get your $40 pair of walkers, that and a $25
Yeah.
Baofeng from Amazon.
Yeah, that's your best option if you're looking for something that will actually be hearing protection for you.
Yeah.
And is still
Which
capable.
For Airsoft, you should still have hearing protection. Like,
Yeah.
I know we kind of joked at the beginning of the show, like, let's not talk gun safety or airsoft safety, but like, you actually should have hearing protection for Airsoft. Your hearing's important. You can't get it back. You never know when a flashbang or something's gonna come by your head. Yeah,
Dude.
they're still civilian grade, airsoft bangs. They still give you tinnitus.
Yeah, especially if you end up like me and get stuck in a stairwell, and after you Drax a whole squad, they drop a half dozen in there with you, then it's not fun. Even if they're just civilian grade bangers, it gets loud.
Probably your next level after the Tactus setup would be like a pair of like Earmore M32Hs. Those are, you can pick them up for about $70 if you shop carefully. A $20 to $30 push to talk. I think the Earmore push to talk is $25.
It's $40.
And then it's how much?
40.
Oh, 40? Oh, dang.
$39. That's on Amazon too.
Okay, well, you can get a cheaper push to talk. The Earmore, you have one, don't you?
Yeah.
That's the one I use.
The quality's solid, isn't it?
That's the one I
'cause-
use also. Yeah.
Okay, so you can pick up an Earmore push to talk, $40. So right now you're at $110, and then you can get a Baofeng for as little as $25. If you're spending that, I would probably recommend at least getting, like, you can make the whole like comms argument, wattage doesn't matter, it's antenna size, whatever. I would probably spend a little bit more and get like an 8-watt Baofeng, and then like a better antenna. Stock Baofeng antennas, they suck. Definitely go with like at least a Nagoya, something a little bit nicer than your stock one. Overall comm setup for that will keep you under $200 easy.
Yeah.
And
There's plenty of different options for your actual the Ear Pro.
Mhm.
There's 700 million different Comtac clones on the market. The only thing you have to look out for is making sure that your push-to-talk and your headset are the same type of wiring, because there's mill wiring and there's civilian wiring or commercial wiring. It'll be listed one way or another. Just make sure you get the same one for your headset and your push-to-talk.
there's a pinout that's swapped.
Yeah.
You can technically resolder it. So like if somebody gives you a hand-me-down, setup, and
You
you're
can make
a
it
pro
work,
college
but
kid, you can
it's-
make it work.
Yeah. There's
Um,
no reason to do that if you're buying new.
But if you do have, if you've already gotten it and can't figure out why it can't work, you can't return it, it was free, whatever, you can go ahead and mod it yourself. After that, now you're just getting into Gucci stuff. Like, go ahead and just, at that point, pick yourself up a pair of Comtacs, a real push to talk. Like we said earlier, this would be like your entry level to a DMR. Pick something like this up, a Hytera. Would probably be the next step after that, Motorola, but now you're talking big money and you probably already know all this stuff. Hyteras would probably be the best bang for the buck for DMRs. Ian has one. That's what we used in Ukraine. Our entire comm setup was based off of Hytera's. They work great. So once again, pros to comms. You can talk to your team. You can talk to your unit. Communication is very essential. If you can't talk to your team, and which you should not always be talking to your team. We can probably get into that a little bit more later and why Airsoft helps. Kind of tie it all back in. But you shouldn't always, if your buddy's 20 meters away from you or 15 meters, a lot should be able to be done verbally or even non-verbally. Visually or non-verbally. Whether it's hand signals or just you flow together well. You shouldn't have to be sitting here on your comms, for basic communication. But communication is still very important, and this is a surefire, we're going to use that term a bit loosely here, surefire way that you and your team can stay in contact with each other and command other teams, artillery, drone operators, recce, etc. For us, we're going to be running probably like a dual comm setup. For the milsim, we'll have our team comms, and then we'll have comms to command, saying, hey, we're reporting X, Y, and Z back to you. Do you copy? What is our next move over? Kind of thing. Something like that. A recce team without comms is worthless. Back in the early days of I was gonna say World War II, but even then they had, they were rolling like phone wire out. Back in the very early days, you had what was called a runner, where essentially, recce teams would either go out for an extended period of time, come back with all their collected information, or they would essentially have runners that would move back and forth to relay information. That's very unnecessary now. So communication is key. A radio is probably the best way to do that. If it needs to be auditory, like through your comms, which kind of goes into know your hand signals, have team hand signals set, have SOPs set. We went over that literally last week. Made sure we were all on the same page. We all know slightly different hand signals from different experiences in life. We got those all squared away and set some SOPs for that. Cons to comms. Just because it's encrypted, while that in theory means that they can't hear you, we've also there's somewhat leaked public knowledge that encryption can easily be broken almost alive. That is yet to be, proven yay or nay. But, just because you're encrypted does not mean it's an open, completely secure channel. There could still be individuals that can listen in onto what you're saying. You don't ever want to give information too specific, or, I wouldn't want to sit there and say, hey, my name's Jamie and this is, my social security number, fill in the blank. You still need to treat it as, a not perfect solution, not perfectly secure solution. Just because they can't hear you doesn't mean they can't find you. Like Ian was kind of going over earlier, you don't even need a drone to triangulate someone's position on a comms. If I sit here and hold this push to talk button down for 30 minutes, or even, 5 or 10 minutes talking on it, I can get my position triangulated within a surprisingly close radius. Depending on how sophisticated the setup is, if they have drones, etc., they could literally get my position down to a few meters and say, hey, hit this exact spot with artillery. And, that might not apply to you as a civilian or us to Airsoft or, whatever, or about the artillery aspect. just because you might be an enemy of the state and you're sitting here on your comms doesn't mean they're gonna pull a paladin up 50 kilometers away and drop a 155 shell through your roof. But you can be tracked even if they can't understand what you're saying. What are some other things? Don't rely too heavily on these. Comms communication is very important. What happens when this goes down? Batteries die. Signal jamming's a thing. I experienced it in Ukraine. What do you do when comms go down? Are you panicking? Can you talk to command? Do you have SOPs set on what to happen or what happens when you can't talk to, what do you do? Just don't rely too heavily on them, because if you do without having proper SOP set, you might be screwed. Give me a sec. Sorry, just got a bunch of notifications. Blake, Traven, y'all have anything else to add to cons of comms?
No. I
Nope.
don't have too much experience with them yet, so
Same.
You're gonna get it this weekend.
yeah, I'm sure I'll have some input after this weekend.
Let's see. What are some other things? Batteries. We'll get off the pros and cons list. Batteries. Make sure you have spare batteries. Have a way to charge them. Power is very important. Yeah, I mean, obviously this doesn't work without power. Pros and cons of comms. My main thing is that I already told him, just because you're encrypted doesn't mean no one can hear you. Just because they can't understand what you're saying doesn't mean that they can't find you.
Yeah, exactly. It's mostly that. If you have encrypted comms, unless someone compromises the key, then there's not really a way for them to listen, but that doesn't mean they can't take actionable information from the fact that you're transmitting.
Yeah, like a good drone, like I say a good drone setup. Russia and I am sure the US, I don't personally have firsthand knowledge of the US. Russia actually has like this whole I forget what it's called, but basically it's like they set up like basically these comms trailers that are all interlinked to drones, and they pick up everything from RF to VHF, UHF, and will triangulate, down to your meters of you calming.
Well,
like
also,
they'll sit there and hold the push talk button down.
Yeah, and the reality is also that radio right there, and unless you're spending thousands of dollars on really high grade equipment,
L3 Harris,
that shit right there leaks metadata. So I mean,
it's not
doesn't
perfect.
necessarily matter that it's encrypted, because I can just read the metadata off your transmission, and there's a fucking GPS in there that'll tell me exactly where you are.
Yeah, things can still be exploited. Just because you're encrypted. Don't rely too heavily on comms. Make sure you have SOPs for when comms go down. You don't always need to be talking to your team who's 10 feet away from you over your comms. Have hand signals set, stuff like that. That was kind of just what I went over. Batteries, like I just said, this requires a battery. How do you charge it? Do you have a replacement? Can you ration, a battery pack or two over a week's time, or however long you need to be out? Think about stuff like that.
Yeah. And what your objective is, and what your logistic situation looks like. Because I mean, even if you do have good logistics, fucking Met TC, like if you're gonna be walking fucking 50 miles, do you really want to carry that extra 6 pounds in batteries so that you can have the nicer radio?
Yeah.
Like, no, probably not.
Yeah, 6 pounds is a lot when you're walking 50 miles. Yeah, do you need to have like radio check-ins?
Yeah.
Do you need to turn radio off until radio check-ins are required? Just keep all that stuff in mind. Do you have a backup radio? If this takes a bullet because it's sitting there on your plate carrier, or some shrapnel, literally I have a Russian Kenwood back there, encrypted radio, and it took shrapnel, and it doesn't work anymore.
Now it's a brick.
Yeah, it's worthless. I assume honestly, I never actually looked at what it was.
Fucking, if it gets wet.
Like water resistant for rain, yes. I fell in a puddle, probably not.
Yeah. then you have fucking paperweight.
Like, it has seals, but I trust it for splash. That's about it. Like, have all the stuff thought out. Extra batteries, too many batteries, extra radio in a dry bag, extra radio on another person. What happens when your comm guy who's 50 meters away from you goes down and he's stuck? Like, you can't get him. Like sometimes stuff like that, it's tough to say, hey, you gotta, temporarily abandon a body or something. But quite literally, if you can't get to him, it's not worth your entire squad dying.
Yeah.
But that's your only line of communication to command. Now what? Think about that stuff. And as funny as it is, play airsoft with it. We're about to find out literally.
Yeah.
We're all running comms. Probably only one of us, unfortunately it might end up being me unless someone else volunteers, will have like the, either a 2 radio or I'll be switching channels for command or something. To say, hey, here's what's going on. Literally none of us want to do it.
You have to be on the net.
None of us want to do it. We might just draw straws. For who has to have the radio to also talk to command. What happens if I die? Well, that means I have to hitchhike all the way back to base. They no longer have comms to command. What if command's sitting there, pull out, that you got 14, technically technicals rolling up on you. They don't freaking know. They don't have comms. So think about that stuff. Who's your comms guy if one person goes down? How do you talk to each other? Why do you need to be talking over the radio to the person next to you and giving your position away? Things like that. Antennas, have decent antennas. I love the foldy antennas on your back panel, but they do go bad. So, stuff like that. There's also, I think you've even built one. We did this back in Vietnam, like the little cables where you just yeet them up into the tree and there's your new antenna and you just leave it and you move on. Like, what's your use case scenario? Do you need to pick up stuff from a few hundred meters away for your airsoft game, or do you need long distance stuff? Don't get caught up in the wattage thing. It doesn't scale properly. Like 8 watts is not 33% or whatever better than 5 watts. It might be 20% at best. 10 watts isn't double as effective as 5 watts. It's probably like 30% at best. Don't get caught up into trying to find the highest wattage Baofeng or the longest antenna and the most wattage.
It doesn't matter if you had a fucking million watts. UHF is not gonna suddenly break the laws of physics and go through the crust of the earth and reach someone 67 miles away.
Yep.
You're always gonna be limited by the signal.
Yeah. You need to figure out whatever your team's doing, whatever your mission. This is literally applicable to our 8-acre local airsoft field, to the bigger airsoft field, to real combat. Like have that thought out and set up. Figure out what you need comms for and how to do it. Anything else on comms? That honestly kind of covers it. All right. I had something after comms, but I don't remember. Water. Drink water.
Yeah. Sustainment.
Yeah. That was sustainment was not quite what I had in mind, but yeah, like we're gonna be sleeping out there. Have fire watches set. For a 4-man team, one person should always be awake. You don't need 2 for 4-man. Or at least in most situations, but one person should always be awake at all times. 2-hour shifts suck.
1-hour shifts are even worse.
See, I actually prefer 1 hour. I prefer 1 hour because 2 hours is getting kind of stretched out if you're already sleep deprived of staying awake.
That's definitely true.
But understand your team, know yourself and your team. If your team hasn't slept in 3 days, they might not make it through a 2-hour shift. Like realistically, talk to your team, figure that out. But always have a fire watch. If you have, if you have a whole platoon of guys, or anything upwards of a squad or 2, have 2 guys awake at all time. Have a battle buddy. If you're spread out, if you have 2 squads spread out, on a tree line or something, have one awake at one end, one awake on the other, something like that. Have stag and fire watch. It's essentially the same thing. Yeah, have that figured out. Make sure you're warm, stay dry, change your socks. Literally, I'll have a freaking, have we even checked the weather for this weekend?
No.
I have not.
It looks
If
like
it's gonna be raining.
beautiful.
Oh, it is?
I don't think I've seen any rain. I checked. Well, I checked here. I haven't checked Barnwell. I guess I
Yeah,
should check
10-day
Barnwell.
here is like phenomenal. Oh wait, no. Here it's supposed to
it's-
rain Friday,
It's easy
Saturday.
Right now. Uh-oh.
Yeah, if it rains, have some Gore-Tex, have a poncho, something. Um, just you want to try to stay comfortable. Like I know that sounds silly. You want to be comfortable to an extent, but you also want to be like Blake and I reference this all the time. Be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Like you want to be able to still thrive, but at the same time, enduring being uncomfortable still sucks. Like, I mean, you go for a week wearing like, wet. Like this does not apply to our 1 day airsoft thing at all. But you go for a week being soggy and having wet shoes, you're gonna be in really bad shape. Like, keep an extra pair of socks with you. Don't just take your pair of socks and stuff them in your back panel or your ruck, because I guarantee you, if they've been in there for 2 or 3 days and it's been raining, they're wet. Put them in like a Ziploc bag or,
Yes.
some kind of like individual dry bag. Pack all your stuff separately.
Underrated tactical accessory.
Ziploc bags.
A roll of gallon Ziplocs.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Like pack your stuff individually. Don't sit there and like. I went on a I guess I've probably said this before. I went to a military college, an army college, UNG to be exact. We had an FTX, and it was our first big like unit FTX. And some of this stuff I knew. I was still learning. I mean, I still had a lot to learn at that time. But I'd been over on overnight hunting trips with my dad and stuff. I grew up in the woods, the outdoors, backpacking, hiking. And the cadre is like, remember, waterproof all your stuff. You putting your stuff in your bag is not waterproof. Neither is putting all of it in one waterproof bag inside of your ruck. So we get out there, and one of the guys waterproofed his stuff. He like put it all in a trash bag, and it poured like poured. Like visibility here to that wall 10 meters away poured, and he's sitting there trying to get his change or something out of it. He needed something, like one specific item out of his
all of your
trash bag, and he's sitting there trying to like cover his ruck up while digging through. Like he just put all the contents, clothes, everything in this one trash bag inside of his ruck, like as a liner, and he's looking for that one item. And now every single change of clothes, every pair of socks, everything for the whole like 4 or 5 days is soaking wet.
And now it's all marinating together in a trash bag.
That sucks. There's literally nothing he could have done, or he could have done a lot to prevent that. There's nothing he could have done after that happened to fix it either.
No.
Like, you can't just, like, front lines, like, we did it when we were out there for, like, 2 or 3 weeks at a time on a, like, 0 point, like, you don't have a choice. So, we try to find, like, I literally have pictures of, like, my bunker roof with, like, limbs, like, logs laying across it, and I had, like, literally every square inch, like, a pair of socks or something dry. But, like, you can't just, on a 5-day FTX, dump your ruck upside down and lay it on tree limbs. Like, there's not a whole lot you can do at that point. You just have to really suck and have soggy feet through the rest of the time. Just for any FTX, for any outing, I'm literally probably going to do it for the Airsoft event. Just buy a pack of Ziploc bags, take a pair of socks, stuff it in there, take like a pair of underwear, stuff it in there, depending on how long you're going to be out. Now that's, mission to, if you're going to be out for 12 hours, you don't take an extra pair of underwear with you. Honestly, probably not even 24 or 48 either. But, have changes of socks, have just basic things in their own separate bag, that if it's pouring down rain, you can pull it out, put them on, and now you have dry feet again. Or at least drier feet than they were. Waterproof your stuff, drink lots of water. Like, yeah, you can technically go 3 days without water, as I think we talked about my last episode. Yeah, our last episode, where we had to literally filter pond water from the muck because we'd been like 36 hours. Well, we weren't technically 30. We were pushing probably 24 hours without water. Yeah, we were not dead by any means. We also weren't really combat effective either.
Say, yeah.
Like, we were digging a trench because we had to dig. You dig or die.
Even.
Yeah. Like, you dig or die. So you either choose, so like, I think by the time we finally went and got water, between 4 of us, we had like this much of a water bottle left, and we were like sipping. Like, we dig for like an hour and take a sip, and we just rotate around. And by the time we were finally like pretty much out of water, like, we were done. Like, yeah, we could sit in our trench and be combat effective, but as soon as we started standing up and had to like shoot and move, we're done. Like we couldn't exfil. Like literally we got to the me and my battle got to the pond. We, like I said, go back and watch the last episode. We walked like 3 kilometers back to this pond, and by the time we got there, we sat down and like instantly filled our bags up and screwed on and just started drinking from the filter. Like we were sitting there like cotton mouth, exhausted, like we laid there. Like we couldn't really stand anymore. We basically used exerted all of our energy, and like we weren't sweating, like we were done. And so yeah, you can go 3 days without dying without water. You can't go 3 days while being combat effective.
Yeah.
Give it 12, 24 hours tops, and you might as well be dead because
that's
you
3 days if you sit still and do nothing.
Yeah. Drink water, energy. In the back of my plate carrier. Oh, actually, that's one of the things I want to show. Where is? I have a Walmart bag somewhere.
And water by itself is not enough. You need the electrolytes. You need the sodium, all of that.
Yeah, electrolyte, sodium. Little like the MREs come with them. US MREs. A lot of them come with like the little orange beverage powder, like the little Propel packs. Those are great.
Yep.
They take up literally like no weight at all. They're, I would consider like a non-perishable. Like it's not like a small like, what are those little squeezy containers that's like like you squeeze them in your water and it gives you like electrolytes.
The Mios.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mios.
Mios
those
and
can get smashed or leak if you literally just take a couple Propel packs and like stick them in the back of your plate carrier for a rainy day. Those will go a long way.
Well, there's a
Also, filtered water from sketchy sources can often taste kind of shitty. Even though it's filtered and safe to drink, it doesn't mean it tastes good.
Yeah.
So having a little bit of flavor that you can chuck in there is a godsend sometimes.
Yeah. Like and especially like if you're out for whether it's an FTX or like you're on the front lines for 2 to 3 weeks, something as simple as a morale boost of, dude, this is my lemon lime I've been saving for days or weeks or something. Like honestly, I like I had a like I would take like a Snickers bar or, try to keep some like I think I even have some in here, little individual long stream. We'll wrap this up soon. Little like individual packs of gummy bears. Like they're little tiny gummy bears, like something like that. Energy, electrolytes, chocolate, Snickers, whatever. For the back of my plate carrier, I used to keep like, face paint, roll of electrical tape, like some iodine tablets, scope cleaning stuff. I was in Ukraine.
Yes, dude. Can we talk about anti-fog real quick?
Yes. Yes.
Ooh, yes.
Hold on, I'll come back to that. Ukraine, it's cold, hand warmers. If like literally I kept a emergency pack because in more instances than one, people did have like cold casualties, like hypothermia. Something as simple as stuffing 1 or 2 of these like in your body core, like not in your hands because you were uncomfortable, but like wrap somebody in a Mylar blanket and then like throw 2 of these in your chest. Like even if you have like if you're like a squad medic or something, might not be a bad idea to throw one of these like in your IFAC with your Mylar blanket. Heat generation. Iodine tablets. They're very important if you're going to be an extended period of time. We don't need that for a 24-hour airsoft thing. But
you need if you're actually going to be out in a situation where you're not having access to water for an extended period of time, you need multiple means of water purifying, not one.
Yeah.
You need options.
Like if you have more than your flat pack, like if you have like a 3 to 5 day assault pack or even a ruck, there's no reason you shouldn't have a water filter, like a life straw, and iodine tablets like on you. Optic batteries, they do die, especially in the cold. They die faster. Face paint, stuff like that. By no means are any of us, I would say, great experts, especially in cold weather. But one thing that is, great, your phone dies like 3 times faster, and your optics batteries go from, lasting a year to weeks or a month, and you don't know when they're gonna die. Yep. So, very important little things. I did also keep a power bank. back there just to charge phones and radios in an emergency. That goes back to kind of what Ian was saying earlier. Do you really want to be the guy carrying 6 pounds of batteries in there? Unfortunately, I was actually on average carrying like 12 pounds of batteries because I was our sole battery guy for all of our drones, radios, phones, everything.
So that is the cost of those capabilities.
Yeah. Like literally I have a 100-watt power bank up there that I even had more than once had a laptop on position for specifically for high-res maps and some other things. Like we'd sit there on the ground and draw out map. It was basically like a large ATAC. A tablet would have been better in some situations, but sometimes you really just, need a full laptop capability. That's not a normal thing that I would say, hey, we're going on to position for 4 days, let you ruck your laptop in, but certain situations require stuff.
Computer.
And any electronic capability means more batteries. Like, yeah.
And battery needs are exponential, not linear.
Yes. Yes. Probably, yeah, for one drone battery for like the Mini 2 will last 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah, good luck charging them again. Like you gotta have a charger with you. That's one nice thing about the specifically DJI drones, even the minis, the USB-C charge. Try to have all your stuff like USB-C. You want to try to standardize a charger. Even for like I have I think literally almost everyone, well no, it might just be me and you have Surefire lights on our weapons. CR123s, they go bad, like especially if you're like in a CQB environment where you're keeping your light on the whole time. Well, not the whole time, but a lot of the time. Those batteries die. Surefire makes USB rechargeable batteries. They last like half as long, but that might be the difference of you having light or not, because you had them with you. All right, that's all. Some of that's an airsoft tangent, but a lot of this you will find out airsofting. Like this 24-hour event, we're gonna find out exactly how much water we should or shouldn't have brought. You don't want to sit there for a 24-hour event and bring 4 gallons of water, because that's dumb. You also don't want to bring a single 1 bottle of water because you're gonna die. Same thing with snacks. Like try to balance, like going back to literally what he said earlier, like your 6 pounds of batteries, balance your food, water, batteries, everything. You don't want to bring in too much, but you also don't want to bring in enough, or you also want to bring in enough.
Yep.
So think about that. We talked a little bit about the laptop, tablet, and stuff like that. ATAC. We talked a little bit about it earlier too. Learn to use it. Tinker with it. Like once again, you said earlier, it is a full-time job, but with the proper plugins that civilians may or may not have access to, if, you can find them. You can link your drone. You can link comms, mesh network, all of that offline. Well, all of that offline through a mesh network. You can literally, depending on what drone you have, there is a remade plugin. I found it probably about 1.5 years ago on GitHub, where it will throw your drone footage live into ATAC for your whole squad to see, or command, or whoever has access to your ATAC.
It just depends how much time you want to spend on it.
Yeah. Maybe don't lump that into your comms guy. Maybe you have an IT tech guy and a comms guy, or do it yourself, like learn that stuff. So much of this isn't about necessarily having it accessible. It's about like knowing how to use it and how to utilize it properly, and having the time to learn and set it all up.
And knowing when to use it. And when it's worth putting that time in.
Mm-hmm. And also when to use it in the field. Like you shouldn't necessarily like
if you're spending all your time playing around in your fucking EUD with ATAG, are you actually getting much training value out of the exercise? Yeah.
You need to try to balance.
If that's what you're there to train for, sure.
And just like we teach in shooting too. Like I know some people they're like, yeah, I spent 2 hours at the range, today. I shot 300 rounds. It's like, cool, what do you do? Like, oh, I hit this target.
Yeah.
It's like, so what did you do? Like, what did you specifically practice? Like, oh, I sat down at the bench and I shot. It's like, well, you didn't really accomplish anything. You found out how good you are shooting from with a resting heart rate on a bench while sitting down, supported. Like, when you do, whether it's airsoft or you go to the range, any kind of something that you want to get better at, you want to try and set like goals. Or when we go out to airsoft, it's like, this is specifically what I want to get better at. We don't just necessarily always, I mean, it's not wrong to go out and have fun. Like, I mean, we have a ton of fun doing it, but you want to just, like, you don't want to spend, $100 at the range and then $300 on ammo, like shooting into trash.
And get nothing out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're going and we're spending, hundreds of dollars to go to this airsoft event, we're not just going to go and literally sit by the campfire in the talk and just do nothing. Like, we're going to be out there trying to gain something from it, gain knowledge, gain experience, gain information on how to better ourselves. And then we'll, like, I think honestly, we're going to try to have somewhat of a debrief with you guys after this and say, maybe here's a few takeaway things. And by the way, here's our meme gun tuber cringe list. So, if your goal is to learn ATAC and you want to be the TOC, tactical operate, you want to be the TOC guy for your team and literally sit in a trailer and, play battle. Do you all remember on Battlefield 2 when you were the team leader and you had like, it was, like 64 players versus 100 or 64, and you could like,
oh yeah,
drop, you could drop like care packs and stuff.
You're just that one sole guy.
Yes, it was called you literally like entered the command trailer.
Commander, yeah.
And it was super cool. If that's literally, if your whole squad's, TOC guy and that's how you think is best to better yourself, do it. If you're trying to become a better shooter or better, tactical, it's so weird being like, yeah, improve my combat skills playing airsoft, but I mean, it's not wrong, like we talked about earlier.
It is a good audit of a lot of the skills needed.
Yeah, it's not the end all be all, but if you take it for what it is, and you really try, it's really, you get out of it what you put in it.
Exactly. Just like everything else.
The barrier of entry, like, I bought an airsoft gun that a lot of boomers would say, you bought a toy for, $300 and then put an optic on it, all this. Yeah, but if I'm actually getting out and using it and training with it at facilities that I can't just take my rifle to, then yeah, it's an investment from it into me and my skills and knowledge and experience.
And how much money is that going to save you on ammo?
Yeah.
Trying to replicate the same things that you're
practicing. I can literally sit here in my room and just practice dry firing and drilling. Whether it's like, whatever kind of drills you want to do. I mean, yeah, you're limited in space, but you can't do that with your rifle.
Can you take your real steel rifle in the backyard and set up an IPSC shooting course and do that for 3 hours? Probably not, unless you live somewhere where you have the room to do something like that. And even then, you're talking a few $100 in ammo to train for 3 hours like that.
Yeah,
whereas
like
you can shoot 3,000 BBs and be out $10.
Yeah. There's plenty of different drills. You have build drills, you have, target transition drills. There's all these different, pistol rifle drills. All that you can do with an airsoft gun. You don't have to be as accurate. They might, even though you're aiming for an A zone, they might not all be A zone. Depending on how good of an airsoft gun you get, what weight, whatever. So I wouldn't sit here and beat yourself up over, all my 10 shots weren't in the A zone with my airsoft gun. But it's the concept of you getting out and training with something that mimics your real setup and real kit. Like transition drills, they work really well for helping you discover like deficiencies and how you grip your rifle. So if you're snapping and you're sitting here doing this, like OG broom handle, you can literally find all the flaws with that with your airsoft gun doing that. When you snap, oh, my gun just, it's twisting. You don't need your real rifle to figure that out. It's all in your grip. You can figure that out with this and learn those deficiencies and train them better, and train on it to get better. Like I have this exact same foregrip on my rifle. I have this optic set up, not currently on a rifle, but have in the past and will in the near future again. I don't have the suppressor on a rifle, but things like that. You want to try and build it as closely as possible.
This is not us telling you to go spend $3,000 replicating your rifle in an airsoft form. Repro is fine. Realistically, you're not going to use your optic most of the time anyway. So
you can save some money there, as long as it feels as close as possible to what your real steel setup is. That's what matters.
Yeah, literally, you can pick up fake Surefires on AliExpress for $25.
If it's ergonomically the same, that's what you're going for.
By no means I recommend throwing your fake Surefire on your real rifle, or your fake Aimpoint T2 from AliExpress on your real rifle. Like, and you can even make the argument, well, it hasn't broken so far, and maybe it won't. But that doesn't mean you should trust your life on it to put on your real rifle. But that experience is perfect for airsoft. You're not trusting your life on it. If it breaks, you can literally go exchange it, or you're out $25 and you buy a new one after the game's over.
The important part is that you're building that muscle memory.
Yeah. As
close as possible to the same as what you would put your life on.
Yeah. If any of y'all have played sports, like, you'd run, or specifically like football, you'd run a play, and the coach would be like, do it again. You're like, coach, we just did, do it again. And then you do it again. Well, you're building that muscle memory of where the ball is going to be, where the ball is going to be thrown, who you need to block. It's the same thing with any team sport, or really any activity you want to get better at. Just repeat it over and over and over. Over time, you'll build up that muscle memory of, my first mag's on my belt. It's facing this direction. I know exactly where it is. You'll see a lot of videos specifically of, not to continue to rat on cops, but cops like going to draw their weapon or something, and they'll like miss their holster, or it'll be a bad grab on their pistol. And it's like, well, someone didn't train enough, because your pistols should always be in the same spot. So if it's not, either you're setting your kit up differently, or you don't train enough. So, like, find those deficiencies and work on them. Go out to the gun range, to your airsoft games, train with a purpose, and you'll get better at it. Anybody have anything else to add? This has been a long episode, but I feel like it's been a really good knowledge dump of just everything.
Go learn to work with guys that you don't know to kill other guys that you don't know.
They might teach you something. If, like, I know we, like us, all of us on the podcast and our team work great together. There's going to be 4 of us going out. That doesn't mean that someone else, that doesn't mean we can't learn something from someone else. It's nice having a team, because you do teach each other stuff. Like, he's always teaching me things. Blake teaches me things. We all do teach each other how to be better, not just even shooters, but better people in life. We're always like, hey, we could probably do better at this. It's like, you're right. But the bigger, and I'm not saying to go and join some, 1,000-member ARA. But, the more people in your squad, or the more people you work with, or train with, the more you'll all become better people and better shooters.
Also,
Everyone
it doesn't matter how good you are
something.
if you try to do anything.
Yes. Yeah, no one knows
by
everything.
yourself. If you try to do anything by yourself, you're gonna get your fucking cheeks clapped.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah. No. Yeah. There was this kid at AirSoft who was complaining about us yesterday or Saturday. Yesterday, and he was like, hey, and it was funny because he had some decent tactics. You can always see like when people have at least played like some like realistic like Tarkov shooters or something, or at least just have some minimal airsoft experience, because you'll see them have like very basic understandings of like infantry tactics, but it's not all there. Like, the dude was like, so for example, we had a more or less a fire line built facing like this way. The dude walked this way, got schwacked, walked all the way back to his spawn, and then just kind of probed it like 15-20 meters to this side, and then did sills. Like, the dude would like walk 20 meters down the road, stop for a second, look around, listen, all the way down the road. And it's like, well, yes, you did a good job of, not doing the same thing twice, but you also broke like 15 other different rules, playing by yourself, walking down a road, all these different things that literally, like, if you would have, flanked farther and done that, it could have been successful, or not to walk down a road. So, like, all that to say is he was by himself, and if he would have had a team, that worked together, he easily could have picked it up instead of complaining and say, hey, these 3 guys are always shooting me. Well, yeah, you're doing exactly what we're set up to combat. Like, we're defending against someone walking this direction, so change it up. It was quite funny. We memed pretty hard on him. All right, that's honestly all I have. Traven, Blake, Ian, y'all got anything? I'm done.
Yeah, man.
It's been a long episode.
Yeah,
You covered
I
everything
think
very
that's
well.
a good place to cover
Thanks.
to end it.
Half of it's been me rambling, but I try. In future episodes, I do still want to get through Ukraine. Some of it's kind of not like tough to talk about, but like flipping through pictures is always the most like enjoyable thing. And then also it's like some days, I just don't want to deal with like the extra, not stress, but like I just don't want to, flip back through pictures or don't want to
Yeah.
necessarily plan out a whole episode. I feel like now that we're in some of the more juicy like combat stuff, like I feel like I need to get all the facts and details straight to accurately tell a story, and that might in my mind take me 6+ hours to try to plan out to make sure I get the timeline accurate, and that's a lot of time and effort and stress to do. So we will ultimately finish the Ukraine stuff, but after Ukraine, and I think before you even finish it too, I do want to basically have more targeted videos, something like this, where we're just have a general topic of training or, woodland environment, tactical skills and things like that. And we'll try to target more specific things. Like we might do a gear dump.
Hit me up for jungle warfare.
Yeah. Triple
West Side.
canopy.
West Side gang.
Like, we might have, in the next few weeks or once you get back and we all have access to our gear again, say, hey, here's the gear we use and why. So how to set up your plate carrier kind of stuff. Why you should do this and that, and why you shouldn't buy an Agilite carrier and things like that. So, yeah. All right, Traven, you got anything?
Nah, I got nothing this time. I'll spare you.
Sweet. Honestly, I know we've harped on it this whole time this episode, but I think we're not gonna have any current events today. It's too late. I think the takeaway for today is literally like target, train, and don't. And ultimately, like if you play Airsoft, you get out what you put into it. If you want to wear a cow costume and run around, like that's totally fine. If you don't, if you're there to have fun, there's nothing wrong with that. But
and
if you're
we're
trying
not saying don't have fun.
Yeah,
just be aware of what you're trying to accomplish. If you're just there to have fun, fuck it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with just going to have fun.
It is fun to go and shoot people with an airsoft gun. It's okay to have fun and do that. But if you're trying to do it and use it as a training tool, then be purposeful about it.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. We literally every time we go, maybe not halfway through the day or things might go wrong, but at the end of the day we're like, dude, that was a lot of fun. Like, Ed, here's what we learned collectively. Like every single time we have some kind of takeaway. So all right, that's it for me, unless anyone else has anything to say. Catch us next week. Watch our Instagram. I'll put up a story for what day and what time we'll be having either a live stream or at least get the video uploaded. We're gonna do our best to have a live stream at GTI. If the internet's not willing, we'll still give you the GunTuber meme tier list and get you a debrief of what we learned. And it's gonna be really funny is if we're like next week we're like, hey, remember we told you this? This is how we utilized it, and this is why you should do it too. So we'll see you guys next week, and have a great week. Stay safe, have fun, and get out.